Hey Loyola, welcome back to another episode of the Six Man Report. I'm your host, Brendan Hyland. And if you don't know what I do on the Six Man Report, I recap all things going on in Loyola sports. So let's get started right now, talk about the men's basketball team. And 1 week after defeating Manhattan, the Greyhounds fell to the Jaspers 55-52 in the quarterfinals of the MAC tournament. Now after being down by as many as 14 in the second half, the Greyhounds stepped it up on the defensive end, thank God, and held Manhattan to 8 points in the final 13 minutes of the game. Now, that's sensational defense, boys. But that wasn't enough because, the backbone and the killer of any loss is missed layups. And, of course, the Greyhounds missed layups down the stretch, and it ultimately cost them a chance at a come-from-behind victory. Now, Dylan Cormier and Eric Etherly, two guys that are first-team All-MAC selections, we look at their numbers right here. They only combined for 20 points in this game, and boys, I like you both, think very highly of you, but 5 of 22 from the field in a tournament game, that's just not cutting it. And this is clearly well below the season average of 32 a game, so that played a huge factor in this loss. I bet, we played that game 9 times out of 10, and those guys are up around that 32 a game mark. But that didn't happen here. However, fellow senior Anthony Wimbush, he picked up the slack and tallied 14 points. He played very well, but again, the team came up short. But big news of the day. This is breaking news. Loyola is in the College Insider Tournament. Moreover, Loyola is hosting the first round game next Tuesday night. I believe the date is the 19th, 2 days after St. Patrick's Day. Everybody should be hangover free. Get to the game. Get to Reitz Arena. This is the first time Loyola basketball is hosting a postseason game on the Evergreen campus. Get to that game, cheer on these boys, and I know that Eric and Dylan are both going to come out, and they're going to play phenomenal, and you might even get a dunk or two out of Eric Etherly trying to rock the crowd. But now we're going to switch over to women's basketball, and the Lady Hounds, unfortunately, they suffered the same setback to Manhattan as the men did, losing in the quarterfinals of the MAC tournament. Now, senior guard Katie Sheehan, she was the high scorer for the Greyhounds with 13, while sophomore Kara Marshall finished with 11. Senior Alyssa Sutherland, she didn't really end her Loyola career the way she would have liked. She only had 5 points. However, her and Sheehan, they finished the season as team leading scorers and end their Loyola careers as 1,000 point scorers. That's a great accomplishment, and you can't take anything away from those two girls. Now, looking forward to the next season, the Lady Hounds returned 10 players, 3 of whom averaged 25 minutes a game. So that's a good starting spot. You saw, I just said, pardon my English, but Kara Marshall just had 11 points in this game. She's been a main contributor both her freshman and sophomore year. She's going to need to step into more of a leadership role next year if this team wants to continue moving forward. Now we're going to move from the hardwood to the turf, and we're going to look at the men's lacrosse team. They suffered a devastating 9-8 loss this weekend to Duke, making their record 4-2 on the season. This is not the way Coach Toomey wanted the season to start, but it is what it is. But yeah, right now, people are saying if the NCAA tournament was to start today, you look at the blind resume, and we're not in it. That tells me that we need to step it up. And we didn't step it up in the fourth quarter when we went into the fourth quarter leading 5-4 and gave up 2 goals in the first 3 minutes of the game, of the quarter, and we couldn't regain the lead. That just can't happen, boys. But we played fairly sloppy. We turned the ball over 16 times, 8 of which were unforced. Now, senior Scott Ratliff, he played well. Per usual, Ratliff brought his A game, and he was named ECAC Player of the Week because of it. His game included a goal, 7 ground balls, and he caused 4 turnovers. Now, he is playing like the senior captain that Coach Toomey needs him to be. Junior tackman Justin Ward, he's really picking up the slack as well. He led the Hounds in scoring with 2 goals and an assist. And, they suffered the setback to Duke, but they need to regain their focus because they're playing a very schizophrenic Air Force team this weekend in Denver at the Whitman Sampler Mile High Classic. Now we switch from the men's to the women's lacrosse team, and they suffered a loss this weekend too to the University of Florida, 16-7. Now, Florida, they're ranked number 2, and so obviously they're a good team, but they shot over 50% for the game. That's very good. But that also says something about maybe our defense needed to step it up a little bit. With 27 minutes left in the game, it was an 8-7 game. And then the onslaught began, and the hosting Gators went on an 8-0 run to end the game. That's unfortunate. That really can't happen. Now, the team only dropped 4 spots in the polls, so that says something about the quality of the competition they're playing. But it's not really an excuse. However, on the bright side, we need to say congratulations to junior midfielder Marley Patton, who registered her 100th goal after scoring 2 goals and also notched her 150th career point. Again, those are 2 great feats, and she's only a junior. So, we're looking at a girl who could score 150 goals, maybe have 200, 225 points for her Loyola career. That's sensational. Junior Joanna Dalton and sophomore Hannah Schmidt each added 2 goals as well. And like I said, the team's now 2-3. They're down from 9 to 12. So in the polls, so that's not great. But they're playing Delaware tonight, a game that they should be able to win. And then they host James Madison on Saturday afternoon at Ridley. And we know that we all need to get out. We need to support the Lady Hounds. We need to get behind this team. They're very young. They're very talented. They're very good. But they play good competition. We need to get out there. We need to support them. We need to support the men's basketball team on Tuesday. We need to support the men's lacrosse team when they come back home. We just need to be the Loyola Greyhounds that we can be. All right, Loyola. Well, that does it for another episode of the 6-Man Report. I'm your host, Brendan Hyland, and I'll see you next week.